Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back. Um, I You're gonna have to excuse my confusion, my just shock while I rant on here and talk about this so-called film Thrash. There's definitely an H missing. There's an extra H in that word. Take the H out. Trash. That's what this is. Okay. I'm gonna go so far as to say this is a personification of everything, almost everything, that is wrong with modern films. I'm not going to say cinema because I know this isn't a cinematic film. This is a Netflix film. But this is such an abomination. I don't often use the word offensive because it is just tragic, like you're offended, whatever. But this is offensive to people that love the art of cinema and of film. I started to make, I want to call it a review, more of a reaction video about this yesterday. And I realized I'd been talking for way too long because there was so much in this. So I ended the video and I just wanted to come back. I'm going to describe a couple of things in this film because I want to save you from this. All right. This is currently, I think, the #1 film on Netflix. I don't know if that just means it's new and people are like, oh, I wonder what that's like. Or if people are actually sitting there going, yeah, this is good. This is great. Because this, though, if people are actually thinking that, I can only assume they're on some kind of medication. Or perhaps they're all little Manchurian candidates and they've been programmed to like this because this is terrible. Every single white male character in this film is portrayed as stupid, ignorant, idiotic, offensive, incompetent, useless, moronic, and the women are portrayed as amazing, capable, incredible, inventive, resourceful. The black people are portrayed as good, brave, courageous, decent, intelligent. The one, they have to put one Asian person in there who is the assistant to the black marine biologist guy. He is portrayed as good in every way. Every other white male character in this film, bar perhaps the eldest of the three foster children, is portrayed as useless. Um, yeah, it is absolutely offensive to anyone who considers cinema an art form or movies an art form. And that's just one piece of this film. And I've spoken about this before, and this is the kind of thing, I know I did my little video on the critical drinker, but this is the kind of thing when he gets hate and it's like, oh, you just hate women, you just hate black people, you just hate brown people, all this sort of stuff. That's the rhetoric people come back with. This is exactly what we're talking about. It's impossible to not see the narrative that is being pushed here. And also, as soon as I switch a new film on, which I very rarely do because there is horrendous, I almost say as bad as this, but this is one of the worst things I think I've seen. And I see the black guy, the Chinese guy, the Spanish girl. You know, when I see all the things, then there's the non-binary character, then there's the disabled character. We're not sitting here going, oh, these people are awful. What we're saying is, when you see those things in a film, you know they've been put in there to tick the boxes. You know they've been crowbarred in. Right, I'm now being reminded that what I'm watching isn't a movie. This isn't a creative piece of art. What I'm being shown here is an approved form of possibly not even entertainment, of some kind of indoctrination, some kind of distraction. And I know that I'm not going to be able to immerse myself in this because I know exactly what's going to happen. And I actually watched this with a mate of mine. And as soon as I saw the little black girl at the start, the black guy, the Chinese guy, the pregnant woman, I went, I know that none of those people are ever going to die in this. They are going to be immortal. And they were all the way through. They were perfectly fine. The plot armor these people had was insane. So just a couple of scenes that happen in this film. You know what the plot is of this. They're in a town. There's a storm coming. A wave comes in and floods everything. But there's so little of this that makes sense. There really is so little of this that makes sense. Because I thought there was going to be like a tsunami, but there isn't a tsunami. It's just this storm. And then this one wave just appears out of nowhere, breaks over this barrier thing, and floods the town. So technically, the second this wave went over the barrier, as soon as it dropped down below the barrier, no more water should come in. But throughout the film, the water continues to rise, but only in certain areas. The pregnant girl in the house, the water's just like going up by like a foot a minute. It's ridiculous. But then the three young foster kids, they're kind of in the same position throughout the whole film, and the water level doesn't change where they are. It's just it's so inconsistent. The way, again, like I say, the white people are portrayed in this film, it's just horrible. It's absolutely horrible. You've got this kind of like hick redneck couple who are, and this has just nothing to do with anything, who are fostering these three kids and they're only doing it for the money, and they're being really horrible to the children and like not feeding them and stuff and keeping all the money for themselves. And he's got loads of guns on the wall and all this sort of thing, and he's portrayed really horrible. And you just absolutely know if they could have stuck a MAGA hat on him, they would have done. You know that's exactly what we're going for here. And there's even a scene in this where, yeah, admittedly the dad's horrible. I'm not saying he's horrible to the children. But there's a scene in this where he, after getting his arm bitten off and then being attacked all around the lower body by sharks, he somehow manages to survive that, pops up in the house where the three kids are, and he's up on the table and he's being horrible again. And I said, turned to my mate and I said, they're going to murder him. They are going to murder this guy. But it's, and I went, but you know, he's a white guy, so it's perfectly fine to commit murder to this guy, even though I know he's a horrible character. And I can't remember what one of the boys does, but the daughter, the girl of the three children, she kicks him in the face into the water where all these sharks are swimming around, and then they eat him. But that's okay. Because, like I said, he's a white guy, and it's fine. There is just so much in this film that doesn't make any damn sense. There is so much that doesn't make any sense. If you've ever seen floodwater, if you've ever seen footage from where there's been a flood, you know, rivers burst its banks or whatever's happened, the water is not clear. Okay, the water is like chocolate, like mud, and it is absolutely full of bits. There's like things floating in it. There's dirt and like all the stuff comes up from the sewers. It is disgusting. Like, it is vile. Not in this film. It looks like it was filmed in a swimming pool. You've never seen clearer, more inviting floodwater in your life. There's one scene in it where one of the foster kids, they're trying to get some weapons or something, and he dives down into their basement, which is now underwater. Crystal clear. You can see everything. You can see the guns. You can see the sharks swimming around down there. Absolutely everything. It's insane. Some of the other ridiculous things, I know I'm just completely ranting here because I want to try and do you a favor and talk you out of even attempting to watch this, because it's going to be time in your life you're going to never get back and you're going to regret it. And it's not even one of those films that you can enjoy for how bad it is, you know, like the Sharknadoes of this world and that kind of thing. This film thinks it's good. Sharknado was very aware of the fact it was ridiculous and it was parodying ridiculous things. This film thinks it's good and thinks it's clever. It isn't. So, give you an example of some of the other crazy things that happen. The three foster kids are trapped in like their living room and they're sitting up on a table. The water's not quite over yet, and there's sharks everywhere. Like, these sharks have just come in from all over the place. And for some reason, instead of just staying put on this table, waiting for the waters to recede, they suddenly decide that they need to get to the car that's in the garage and drive away because it's got one of those, they call it a snorkel. So like the exhaust can breathe. It's one of those cars you can drive through ditches. Now, I don't know if you can actually just drive these around underwater, which is kind of what they're insinuating in this film. But that's their plan, to get to the car. So they have this idea of trying to distract the sharks with some steak that was in the freezer. Another reason he dives down. And when he comes back up, he brings these steaks, he grabs this box, and in it is dynamite. They open up this box and there's a load of sticks of dynamite in it. They then proceed to take about 6 of these sticks of dynamite, tape it around this steak, and throw it in the water. Presumably the shark's going to eat it, much like a massively superior film Tremors, in which they do a very similar thing. You know what I'm talking about. And then blow the graboids up. In this, they want to tape the dynamite around the steak, throw the steak in, the shark eats it, and then blows up, presumably. Now, I said to my mate, why have they used like this? I don't see how this is going to work anyway, and I don't see what difference it's going to make, because it clearly shows there's lots of sharks swimming around. So if you took one out, there's still plenty others. So they are inside their house. They're contained inside their house. They light this thing that's got like 6 sticks of dynamite on it. The fuse literally starts going that quick. It's like, I'm like, that's going to blow in about 2 seconds. They throw it in the water and it's just bobbing around. It's bobbing around for ages. It's just sitting there, bobbing around. And then they go, oh, we've got to create vibrations to attract the shark, even though up till that moment, the sharks have been swimming around them the whole time. So they then jump in the water and start splashing around. And then I think the shark grabs hold of the dynamite and it blows up or something. I said to my mate, I said, can you imagine putting 6 sticks of dynamite inside your house and being about 10 yards away from it and then it detonating? What do you think might happen? I think it would blow that house sky high completely, but it doesn't. It doesn't damage the internal structure of the house whatsoever. And the kids are fine. They're absolutely fine. So they end up going out to the car and they get in the car and they start to drive away. And the water's sort of up to the bonnet of the car. And I just said to my mate, I'm like, where are they going to go? I said, and even if that's how it stays, that's got to work on the assumption that anywhere they drive, the water's going to be that at that depth. I'm like, just sit where you are. Sit on top of the car. Sit on top of the table in the kitchen. The water's going to recede. It's just insane. There's another scene where the marine biologist he's out in the sea somewhere and he wants to get to our sort of protagonist. She's the young girl and she's inside this house and she can see our pregnant character who's outside the house and she's trapped in a car, and our marine biologist, he's trying to get to her and he's in this little boat. He teams up with it's like a camera crew, I think, and they're all obviously pathetic white men asking really stupid questions. At one point they get to go in this boat to go and try and find his niece, and one of the white guys goes to the marine biologist, the black guy, he goes, is it safe? And I'm just like, and he goes, no, of course it's not safe. There's sharks, there's floods and all these things. And then a couple more scenes from that bit, which are just ridiculous. They ask him, they say to him, oh, how are we going to find our way there or something, and to where the niece is. And they pull up to a sign while they're on this boat, and the sign says the location of where the daughter is, the town, 100 miles. So I said to my mate, are those little boats capable of travelling 100 miles? I said, how long is that going to take if you drove 100 miles at 70 miles an hour? But we're in this little boat. And they're traveling about, like, they're just going, they're just gently cruising along. I'm like, it's going to take days for them to get there if they've got the fuel to get there. But then the other bit, again, this just pisses me off. You've got one of the white guys and he asks the marine biologist, who's the black guy, and you might say, Paul, why do you keep mentioning the colour? It's important, it's relevant to what I'm talking about here. He says to him, oh, why did you start investigating sharks? He then starts telling this story of when he was in, I can't remember where he says, Zambia or something. And he says, oh, I was there and There's one thing we feared more than sharks, and it was hippos. And I saw this hippo coming out, and then these sharks started to attack it or something. And then the white guy goes, "Oh yeah, sorry." The marine biologist goes, and then this is what I did. And the white guy goes, "You ran back to your hut. You ran back to your hut and got a spear." And I'm just like, they cannot help themselves but put this stuff in there. You know, white guys are bad. They're all racist. They're all doing these things, and it's like they just cannot help themselves. And then he's like, then he gets to school this horrible white guy, you know, and he's like, "No way, man." And you know, "What do you think? I was out there." It's like, oh, it was just by this stage, me and my mate, both of us we were just cringing so hard because it was so bad. Um, Absolutely awful. One of the other things, I'm far enough into this video now that I can talk about this, that is pissing me off. And this seems to be very much a strange modern film thing. And I don't know if it's a way of trying to make a film edgy. I don't know if it's a way of getting a higher rating to make it seem a bit more edgy than it is. But there's really out of place swearing in it. It feels very artificial and very forced. Like people will just be having a conversation now and just be like, "Hey, check out that." They won't just say, "Oh my god, look at this storm coming." It's like, "Fuck me, yeah, look at this motherfucking storm coming. Fuck yeah, get on the fucking phone." And it's just like, this isn't how people talk, okay? And you've got the pregnant woman doing it as well. And she's like driving along. She's like, "Oh, fuck, got a fucking signal, motherfuckers. Fuck this, my ex-boyfriend, motherfucker." Oh, even the ex-boyfriend that we never see from the pregnant woman. Yeah, he's an asshole as well. If you didn't guess, because he's a man. And even the foster kids were doing it. There was like a scene with the foster kids when they murdered the foster dad. Um, they were talking about going down into the basement, and one of them's like, "Oh, we're not allowed to go down there." You know, foster dad, he said it was, you know, we were forbidden. And they're like, "Yeah, well, he's fucking dead now. Yeah, fuck that motherfucker. Yeah, yeah, that motherfucker, he can fuck off. That motherfucker's fucking dead anyway." And I'm just like, it really takes me out. It feels very, very forced, very, very artificial. And it's just not how people talk. I hated it. I hated it. Um, I've got to stop this reaction video because it could go on forever. But what I'm going to give it two more scenes that annoyed me. Okay, and there's a lot. There is a lot more in this. So the pregnant woman, we first meet her. She is driving in her car, and then blood comes in. She gets picked up in her car, drifts away in her car, and a big branch goes through the windscreen of her car, and it's shaped like this. It's like a sort of two branches sticking out the end like that of this big branch. It's a thick branch. It's like that kind of thick. It goes through the window, and this part, like that, pins her. This is her body, pins her like that on her stomach. Okay, so she's pinned inside the car with this branch. That's why she can't get out. When super amazing young girl gets out of the house, climbs across a very convenient building which has washed up between her and the pregnant girl in the car. She crawls across the roof of that, takes a bread knife with her, which is about this big, and she starts cutting branches. And she starts cutting through little branches that are about that big, that are kind of going under here like this. They're sort of going like under her chin, like that. She starts cutting them away and pulling them out of the way. And I said to her mate, I said, "Why are you cutting them? They're not doing anything. Those, you could literally just push those branches out of the way. They're not pinning her in." So she cuts a few of these branches out of the way and then lifts her out. I said to mate, I said, this is bullshit. I said, those branches were not pinning her in the car. The branch that was pinning her in the car was the big thick branch that had a trunk on it like that and was pinned either side of her body like that. Removing those little branches would do nothing. And I felt very much like Annie Wilkes in Misery when she stood up in the cinema and said they cheated us. That is not what happened. Have you all got in song now? Awful, awful, absolutely terrible. There is nobody in this film to root for. There is nobody in this film to like. Even the foster kids were obnoxious and not very likable. You do not care about anyone in this film. And as I said, my mate both of us was saying, I was like, I just don't care. I don't care if who dies in this? I don't care about any of these people. Absolutely awful, terrible. And I couldn't believe it when they do two things at the end. They do a Jurassic Park ending where you've got one of the sharks coming into attack, and oh my god, an even bigger shark comes out and grabs the little shark. And I actually turned to my mate and I said, I think that trope's been done a bit now, hasn't it? Just diabolical. Um, Absolutely awful. Oh, and then they've even got the nerve at the end to kind of suggest a sequel by going back to the guy who's looking at the radar screen, which shows like the storms coming in, and you see like an even bigger storm coming in, and he's just looking at the screen and he's like, "No fucking way," or something like that. It's like, "Motherfucker, there's another fucking storm coming in," and that's just where it ends. Absolutely diabolical. Honestly, this is just this is trash. This is absolute trash. It is an abomination. Um, and all I can say, guys, is don't watch this film unless you hate yourself and you really want to cause yourself some misery. Don't do it. Okay, just don't do it. Bit of a rant there, guys. I know it's a bit all over the place, but kind of from memory, really, what was going on there. I just wanted to put a few thoughts out about it. And like I say, I am open with my biases. I'm very honest with my biases. I do not like it when I know that I'm watching a film because I see crowbarred in all these certain demographics and I know who's going to survive, I know who's going to be good, and I know who's going to be bad. I hate it. Okay? Call me names, call me whatever you want. It's fine. Take it. Deal with it. You know what to do, guys. Hit the buttons, hit the like and subscribe. And please comment if you perhaps have been unfortunate enough to watch this abomination. Let me know what you think. Hopefully I'll find something a bit more positive to talk about in the next video. Take care, guys. I shall see you soon.